Hi, hey, I'm Dr. Clayton Stitzel. This is my a friend and patient, Dawn. And Dawn has got a unique story of her scoliosis journey. And I thought, the world would benefit a little bit more if they knew a little bit more about Dawn. So, Dawn, I got a couple questions for you, and I appreciate your time being here and things. Obviously, elaborate as much or as little as you would like, but just for a little bit of framework here. Um, can you share a little bit what your treatment experience was with scoliosis prior to finding ScoliSMART and my clinic here in Pennsylvania?
Sure. I actually was not diagnosed until I was 21 years old. It was during a routine physical for work, and I didn't even really know what scoliosis was at that point. My curvature was mild at that point and remained pretty much so. And then I'm say maybe in my 40s, it was in the 40-degree range. Still, I wasn't having pain. I was actually, in the past did some competitive bodybuilding and never
Wow,
had any issues with it.
I didn't know
Um,
that.
yeah, no, yeah, that was a long time ago. But anyway, everything was fairly okay. It was pretty stable. I was told by chiropractors and other doctors that it wouldn't get any worse. Well, menopause hit and it got significantly worse. Not only the degree of the curvature, but also it began to kind of twist on its axis. So was having more pain and discomfort. Decided to go and consult with a chiropractor who endorsed the Scoli brace.
Yeah.
Um, and it was excruciating. So $5,000 on a brace that I
Oh,
basically could not wear. And basically, he was just kind of like, well, you just need to get used to it. It was terrible. In fact, I was even having nerve pain from it. I was almost having panic attacks when I'd have to put it on. It was really awful. But anyway, I also tried the Schroth method, which is kind of a targeted scoliosis physical therapy regimen, which did not help with the curve, stop the curve from progressing. It helped somewhat with, pain and posture, but it still
what
wasn't
what
doing the
like
trick.
factors? Yeah.
Yeah, so things kept getting worse, and I was eventually at like 63-degree curves when I came to you, Clayton, thoracic and lumbar. And I initially was skeptical because, no one ever talked about what you do at ScoliSMART. But I was kind of desperate at that point. So I'm like, I need to explore this. Doing nothing is not an option. Talk to you, and I was really, it made a lot of sense, everything that you explained, just kind of the mind, body, brain body connection with
Well, scoliosis as
scoliosis.
a whole condition, not just an X-ray.
Right, right. It's not right. There's more to it. So, I thought this is great. I'm gonna try it. I had no expectations going in, and you were really upfront with, at my age and the severity, we didn't know how well. At least you were confident we could hold it, but the fact that I got like 13-degree correction was amazing. And
I was a little impressed with you as well.
yeah, I was just over the moon. Now, obviously, my spine's never going to be completely straight, but I mean, it really changed my life. And I'm not just saying that's not just words, that seriously, it's been amazing. My husband immediately was like, he couldn't believe the change just in my, mental attitude, my physical. I'm not doing heavy weights over my head or anything crazy like that, but I'm super active, and it's all because of what I the and the PT regimen at home too. Doing the torso trainer, and wearing the ScoliSMART suit. Oh my gosh, that's so much better than that Scoli brace.
I can only imagine.
I
Yeah,
can't
I
even.
mean, a 13-degree improvement is taking over a decade worth of progression off your spine. You're literally turning back the clock a decade or more. So how did you end up finding us? What was the story that you bounced around to quite a different things before you ended up with us? How
Yeah,
go Smart Pennsylvania?
no one, sadly, none of the experts referred Me to you. I did some digging. I think way in the past I might have seen something you might have been featured on WGAL, like on a news segment or something. But I was like, oh, it's just for kids, or that can't help me, or oh, that sounds too far-fetched, just too good to be true. But I was, like I said, I was like, I need to do something, and what do I have to lose here? And the fact that I didn't want to do surgery, having a daughter who had a 66-degree scoliosis at the age of 15. She actually went through the full spinal fusion. It was brutal. I mean, it was for her, she's probably going to have issues with it down the road, though,
Okay.
but having seen what she went through, I did not want the surgery. It was brutal. Um, and just at my age, I didn't want to, because even with my scoliosis, I was still very active. It really wasn't preventing me from doing a lot of things, but I didn't want to risk surgery and then end up not having more pain or not having as much mobility as I did, prior
We
to.
talk about scoliosis fusion surgery is just trading deformity for dysfunction. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, dysfunction leads to chronic pain at some point, most likely. And the other thing to your point there, the experts are wrong every day. Okay, and not just in scoliosis, in a lot of things. So, new ideas are often not readily accepted by the establishment because, a new idea by its very definition is a critique of the status quo, right? And so if we look at the way we're doing things, and we're like, geez, if we did it this way, it'd be better. That's a new idea. But the problem is the status quo is maintained by those who have academic reputation and financial interest in maintaining the way we do things around here. So anytime you bring in the new idea, the experts, if you will, of the establishment are going to sit there and say, "Hey, this is threatening my money and my ego," and that's often going to get some threatening behavior, and they're going to some pushback. Um, how has your treatment experience and results been? I know you alluded to this a little bit here, but how's your treatment experience and result been with our approach and how we've kind of turned the ship around a little bit here?
Oh my gosh. Like I said, it's been a real game changer, life changer. And what I love is that it's something I can actively do
Right.
at home, the program, wearing the ScoliSMART suit when I'm, on the treadmill, working out, making bread. I started, baking sourdough bread for my school, cooking, cleaning, everything. It just really fits into my lifestyle really well. And even, people know probably know about the torso trainer, but the at-home PT, that's so easy to incorporate too. I mean, I'm blessed I work from home, so I can fit it in. But even if I would be working full time outside of the home, it would be easy to work it in, short 15-minute segments, turn on Netflix, watch, whatever my favorite show is at the moment. And
Murder
yeah,
mystery happens to be
get
on.
it done. In fact, I can tell, like, if I'm sitting too long, or riding in the car too long, or like my body craves doing that PT,
Wow, that's cool. I love
and
that.
I feel so much better, after I do it. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And what's something you want the mother of every child and also adults with scoliosis to know?
I guess it's natural to be skeptical because so many, again, experts in spine or scoliosis, the conventional treatments are what they advocate and know best. But really look into your options, especially ScoliSMART, and the consultation with you really helped. You really did a great job of explaining what the process is and why it works. Um, and for adults, don't lose hope. You've probably been told it's not going to get any better, or a brace is your only option. Keep an open mind. And, it was so frustrating for me because, oh, you're an adult with scoliosis. Nobody wants to, there's like no answers. Nobody's really researched it that well. You're the only person who really gave any, sense of hope, or, there's something I can do to either, stop it from progressing or even, make some improvement.
Well, there's no doubt that the adult scoliosis population has been vastly underserved by our healthcare system. And the first step for many adults with scoliosis is to accept the mindset that scoliosis is a lifelong journey. Once we can accept that mindset, then we can start adopting the strategies and plans we need to get from here to the end in a way that's going to be advantageous for the patient here. So once that mindset has really got to be the first thing that we change. This has been great. I really appreciate your time and sharing your experience and story with us. I hope other people in the world feel the hope that you do after hearing
I
this.
do too, right. And I'm always here if anyone wants to talk to me,
Uh,
about, my experience and if they're on the fence and
That's fantastic. All right, great. Hey, so this has been Don, and I hope everyone has enjoyed this little interview and taken something away from it. I know I have. So appreciate your time today as always. And if anyone has any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to my office at ScoliSMART, Pennsylvania. And we do free consults and things like that. And we can help you connect the dots and maybe help you down your journey, lifelong journey with scoliosis as well. All right. Thanks a lot. Take care.
you too.
Bye-bye.